Hey all, and welcome back to the Car Secrets channel. Today we're going to look into a Lexus Technical Service Bulletin number 0033-24. What this bulletin addresses is a noise coming from the front drive shafts, also known as the CV axles. And this noise occurs when you're doing turns, usually when you're making a tighter turn and accelerating. So it's a very typical CV axle noise for worn out axles. However, this occurs, can even be on a, essentially an almost brand new vehicle, a 2023, 2024 model. It affects the RXs, all of them, the 350, 350H, and the 500H, as well as the TX, the RX's big brother, for the 2024 model year. So here's the introduction. So essentially, what I mentioned is a rotational clicking noise, so like a clicking or popping sound. You crank the steering wheel, you start accelerating, and it's going click, click, pop, pop, pop from the front of the vehicle somewhere. And they're saying it may occur without a grease leak. So there's wear or damage, sounds like inside, maybe from the manufacturing process, and that's what's causing the noise. So what they've done is they've updated the front drive shaft assemblies to remedy this situation. So let's take a look at the production change information. So what this talks about is when the countermeasure was implemented at factory. So they realized there's a problem and they said, okay, let's fix this problem. So let's say you have a 2023 RX model. So they're all going to be subject to this repair. But if you have a 2024, you need to look at the VIN to see if the countermeasure already has been implemented or not. So I guess all the RX ones are Canadian made, the 2T2 VIN, and then all the TXs are made in a good old USA. So 5TD is the Indiana plant, I believe. So let's say you have a RX350 2024 all-wheel drive. So this would be this VIN right here. Take a look at the last six of the VIN and see if yours is numerically higher or lower. If it's numerically higher, the countermeasure has already been implemented at factory. If it's numerically lower, that means that it has not. So you may fall under this service bulletin. However, because it's not a recall, your vehicle has to be under warranty for them to do it for free. Otherwise, you would likely have to pay. So let's take a look at the description. So remove and replace the front drive shaft assembly, one side pays 1.8. If they determine that both sides need to be replaced, there will be an additional 0.3. Now, if you come in and you do this outside of warranty, you will likely be asked to pay more because zero point 0.3, that's 18 minutes to replace the opposite side drive shaft. That's a joke. It takes quite a bit longer than that. But the good thing is the warranty is the powertrain warranty, so 6 years or 70,000 miles, whichever comes first, from the date of delivery to the first customer, not the production date. All right, let's take a look at this is for Mexico market, essentially the same info. And this talks about the parts information. So there's a big list, and it's going to depend on what specific model you have, whether it's two-wheel drive or all-wheel drive. So the correct parts will need to be ordered, again, based also on whether it's the right hand or the left hand drive shaft. And then the lock nut, it's the same across all models, and it would just be one per CV shaft or CV axle that's being replaced that needs to be ordered, just because it usually gets staked in place and you're technically not supposed to reuse them. Required tools and equipment is a chassis ear. So what this is like a type of a microphone system, I guess. You can place several microphones around the vehicle, and then you could have headphones or earphones in, and you can switch between these different microphones while you're driving. So this helps with diagnosis uh, of the actual problem. And then there is a text stream unit here. Not really sure why you need a text stream. That's the scan tool for clearing codes and do a diagnosis. But let's take a quick look and find out. So they would need to confirm the problem exists before doing this under warranty, as I mentioned before. Take it for a drive, crank the steering wheel, give it some gas, see if the noise happens. If not, the bulletin does not apply. If yes, continue to the next step. This is where they would actually do the diagnosis. So place the chassis ear on the front knuckle assembly. So what they're saying is stick it right here, the little microphone, on each side of the vehicle, and then take it for a drive and see, while a person's driving, another person would usually sit in a passenger seat with the headphones and switch between different microphones and see where the sound is coming from. So based on if it's one side, other side, or both, they would order the appropriate number and amount of axles. So after this, they would remove the affected front drive shaft assembly once they order it and it comes in, and they would install a new one with a new lock nut. So yeah, I don't see any reason for them to use a text stream to do this, honestly. Maybe it's just mentioned there by mistake because there are no fault codes to clear or any electrical diagnosis to do. And then they would do the same for the other side if necessary. And after this is an important step. So you have to do a grease distribution test drive. So take the vehicle for 5 minutes above 40 miles an hour. I would also do some turns with it just to make sure that all the grease, moves around throughout the CV joint itself and lubricates everything internally. They say alternately drive it on a dyno. Well, I haven't seen a dealership with a dyno in it, but that would be kind of cool, right? If they had one. And they're saying if you don't do this when you take it for a drive, or let's say you just stick the axles in and send it out, well, the guest, or that's what they call the customer, will jump in and take it for a drive, and it might still be clicking because the grease hasn't been distributed evenly. And there you go. They'll confirm that the condition is no longer present, and that's the repair for this clicking, ticking, popping noise. So hopefully, this information was helpful to you, and I look forward to seeing you on the next episode. Thanks for watching.